me just create a very quick home. There we go. And let's cut these apart. And let's create a little bit of a door. And some tiny windows. And I got a lot of kind of like negative space here, and I can go and fix that later because I probably want to add some more assets so I can simply make some of this stuff just a little bit bigger, and then also get it away from the edge here. The other thing I may want to do is, just so that it doesn't crop where it sees white space, is create an invisible box around this. Save. Save as. I think we actually did that. Let's export. PNGs. Those game assets. I'll go to medium, just so they're a little bit larger and crisp. And then let's go back here. And we're going to reiterate some stuff from our previous class. So we have our game assets. We're going to turn this into multiple. apply, go to our sprite editor, hit apply. Alright, so a couple of things. One, things like this we can replace if we want to, and we got to look at the actual name. We'll replace it with 4. Probably should go and name all this stuff, but oh well. Except we have a big problem, is that it is incredibly huge compared to what we did. So we have a couple of issues, well, things. That's right, we don't have that. It's on with the buttons. And it's still extremely large. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably just recreating this. It's the easiest way. Now, I could go with this size, or I can go ahead and say that I'm going to scale this down, but I want to make sure that it's uniform. The other thing I could do is I could scale up my player. So it matches, but then I would need to also kind of increase the width of my camera, because right now that is way too small. Does that make sense? Move that out there. So let's look at some other things. So let's do the same thing with this. And our checkpoint is 10. And this is probably a little bit too big. Let me take a look at our camera. And let's also do the coin, since we're here. Coin is the last asset. That's kind of big. We're going to want to change that. The good thing about the coin is its size. It's in a game object, so if I scale it down to something that I feel is manageable, it's not going to be, hopefully it's not going to affect the animation too much. It will affect my collisions. And you can see it is incredibly small here. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, that's going to work. Cool. And with this one, let's see. Box collider, we're going to hit reset. That works. This I had already gotten rid of the box collider, so let's go ahead and recreate it. So 2 box colliders, and one we're going to offset it, and that's where we land on. And the one that is not offset, we don't turn on its trigger, and then the one that is offset, we turn on its trigger. Alright, platforms. 3. So that we have that. And then my trap, I haven't really created the traps yet. And since I've created, well, two things. I have, where is it at? I have this here. Probably have to make that a little bit smaller. That's the same size of everything else, but I don't want it that big. So let me bring it down by half. And check its position. Cool. Component, physics, box collider. I mean, we can tag this as ground. This isn't going to be my trap. But what I will do, because I feel like being a little bit mischievous, is this. We'll bring in here. We'll line it up with this. We'll scale it down the appropriate amount. Now, I'm not going to give you this code. I'm just going to give you ideas. If you want to implement it, then that's kind of up to you. But before I get to this, let's start adding some sorting layers. Gray box. Traps. Traps. Coins. And I'm going to put this traps, coins, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and name this traps and physics 2D. We're going to use just a box collider and its trigger. And it's going to sit snugly in that. And I can use it in other places as well too, and that's fine. And before we get too invested, let's go ahead and prefab some of the stuff that we haven't prefabbed, just the player. So traps, prefabbed, my gray box of holding will prefab. The coin should have been prefabbed a while ago. My platform prefabbed. My this we're going to name ground is going to be prefabbed, and my checkpoint should be prefabbed. Pretty much all of my assets should be prefabbed. And what I'm going to do is we have our coin here. We have, now I'm just going to duplicate this. We have this nice little asset here, and I'm going to create an empty game object. Trick gray box. So we got our coin, we got this. We'll put this up there. Actually, no. We'll take these two traps, trick, gray box. We'll put that in there. This extra little coin we'll stick in there. My gray box. We'll duplicate that. Throw that in there. We'll get rid of this. Well, we'll do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a script that is going to randomize whether it's a trap or it's a coin when you start. And if it's a trap, then I'm going to tell it to move up and down. And we got to get a couple of things. Public game object, trap, public game object, coin. We need an int, which one. So the first thing I'm going to do is which one is going to be is equal to a random dot range, and I'm going to put -10 and 10. And so if which one is greater than 0, then let's say our coin shows coin not game object dot coin dot get component. We're going to get its sprite renderer not enabled is equal to true. And then next we're going to get its collider 2D and enable that. And I need to look at the coin because the coin, yeah, this will work. Okay, never mind. Now I'm going to take this, and then let's say if it's less than 0, the trap and the trap is enabled. Yeah, we'll keep it simple. I'm not going to do everything. Now for this, we got to load in our toObject, trap, and we got to load in our the coin, that's child, and we do a test. Oh, I need to turn off also the bots collider and the renderer and the trap, the same thing. There we go. And it works. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is this. And my trap, if this is, I'm going to turn on my sprite render for a second. If this is active, I'm going to move down here. And what we're going to do is the same thing that we did with the platform. So vector 3D trap start. Position. And regardless, our trap start position is going to be equal to trap transform dot position. Float trap speed. Let's say that's equal to let's say 3. Give myself a number. Questions as I'm doing this. At this point, I'm giving you some solutions. I'm giving you not solutions, I'm giving you ideas. I'm giving you the code for all the base stuff to work, but anything else on top of that, you gotta figure this out. So I'm showing you how you can do something, but I'm not going to give you the code, if that makes sense. So you're learning, but you're learning more of problem solving at this point. Well, not problem solving, but ideation and execution. So what I'm going to do is if, and I'm just going to use which one. So we already have that. I'm not going to use the enumerator. So if which one is, I guess, less than 10, then we're going to do this. So our trap dot transform position is going to be equal to a new vector 3, and we're going to start out with our trap start position plus math f dot lerp, and we want our trap start position dot x is, and no, I don't need this. I need it for my y position, so give me a second. Our trap start position, and literally we're going to do the same thing as our platforms. And I don't know why I'm using a lerp. I want ping pong. So let's get rid of that. Trap, not transform that position dot x math f ping pong. I want time, not time speed. Oh, trap speed. And then, like we have before, we need our start position. And we need our Z position. We need a comma here. I need my trap start position dot y plus that. Alright, and we hit build. So it goes up, but I don't want it to go up that high, and I want to slow it down. So let's make this 2. Float offset y. And I'm going to make float offset y equal to, I'm going to cut it in half, 0.5 f. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this and multiply it by my offset y. And it's still just a little bit too high up, so I'll go down to like 4, 5. That's more. That should be more than enough. And the coin, we need to go in here, and my trigger isn't turned on. The trigger isn't turned on, and that should be fine, and that should be fine. And this, we have one of those turned on. And let's see what's going on here. It's probably something to do with this. So my gray box of holding, I have a box collider, and it's tagged as ground. And my traps, let's turn this on, is here. So as soon as I get here, it looks like that might be an issue. But let's do one kind of dummy check first. Okay. So we know that works. So I'm going to take the traps, and I want to make them just a little bit smaller. And my traps, for some reason, they're Z. All this stuff is not around the right position along Z. And the gray box of holding, I'm probably going to make this just a little bit, and it's a box collider, that's why. Remove component, physics 2D, box collider 2D. There we go. And I did the same thing here. There we go. for these two gray boxes of holding, we're adding another box collider. And we can offset them some. We can actually squeeze it just slightly as well and turn on the edge trigger. And then we have another issue happening. Alright, what is going on with this? So coin and traps. I don't think it's the issue with the traps. Turn off that box collider. Let's I have two of those. So can anybody guess what is going on here? You're right. That's it. Alright. And there we go. And then apply changes to prefab. Apply changes to prefab. So the only other thing you have to do is set it up. So what I want to do is just spend a little bit of time setting up the sprites again. As a refresher, the other sprites. And so we have our coins, we have ground. If I want to use these assets together, it will be the same thing as these for the most part. Outside they will need to be the right size. And so I will set them up the same way I set up my ground. These I will leave that size. And then also keep in mind my traps are also a prefab by themselves, as well as I need to prefab this, there we go, as well as my gray box of holding, and so I can place those wherever I want, and I probably can also make them a little bit bigger as well too, just so they fit on here, which I know I have two, but I'm using it as for one. I'm using it to, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm using it with the asset to create another one. The other one I'm using it by itself. So that's my justification. The other thing is to answer a question about it being on the ground or staying with it. Is we have this. Now you can snap this like you snap anything else. You can hold down the V key and snap. But what I would do is, if I want to, depend upon where my camera was. So let's say I know I need to pull my camera out. So what I will do, let's pull this out a little bit further. And we will go here, and I can simply do this. Now, the only thing you got to watch out is, even when I snap it, it's a little bit iffy where it snaps, so you got to be wary of those gaps when it comes to snapping it using 2D sprites. But the other cool thing I can do is, let's say I have this and I want to be able to go underground and show that. I can duplicate this asset. here. And then here what I would need to fix is my thing. So if I know this is ground, add sorting layer. Let's create a layer for the player. And there we go. So that you can run through it and under it. I'm getting a weird little, every once in a while I'm getting just a weird little hiccup. I'm not exactly sure why it's doing that. But that's what you could do. Now, let's put in some sky. Let's put in a sky, not some sky. Yes? Well, you can do a conversion. See how big it is on paper, and then convert it. When it comes to 2D, this is probably not the most correct way. I have a tendency more to eyeball it with 2D, based upon the sizes that I want already established, because I always can scale and shrink. Granted, I broke the rules a little bit. I went 150, so I have some scalability, but not much. So I need to go up, I can a little bit, and if I need to go down, I definitely can. But I think as long as you have that ability to go up or down a little bit, it just works out better. Unless you get everything lined up on paper and you do it all on paper, and then you're still going to have to resize it, but then at least on paper you have everything as a side-by-side comparison. This is how big this is, this is how big this is, and actually measure, I want this 1.5 inches, or I want this 32 pixels, and I want this to be 64 pixels. You can do that as well. And I'm probably going to have to duplicate my sky, and let's name this sky. Oh yeah, sky. So I may have to do this with my sky. Just so I have enough of it to use. And then things like clouds, you'll put those in. And before I do that, let's do this. Let's prefab it. I'm not. There we go. And then sky. Not sky. Home. That should be fairly easy to do. Just reset up like we did everything else. Tag it, get it to work. Your UI, we'll go over that again on Wednesday. There was something else that I'm forgetting. Clouds. That's it. And you're like, why are clouds important? They're, in the big scheme of things, they're not the most important thing. But I want to show you something. So depending upon what's going on with your game, one of the things you can do, no, we can't do that with this, never mind. I was going to talk about actually having your clouds move off screen, reset and resize and do that, but to actually do that with a moving camera is going to be a little bit more difficult than what I wanted to do. So sorry about that. We will do that with another project, just not this one. Well, something like that with another asset. But take the time to set dress. Make it look nice and semi-professional, and then go from there. What questions do you guys have?